Bonus Episode 3.
This is a bonus episode for The Toll, Season 2, Poison Control. There's just so much I couldn't cover in the original series. I'm Nancy Simpson. It haunted Jeanette, lingered. It was worrisome. What was in that little container in her mother's cabinet? What did she swirl her finger in? She was inspecting the container with a pure white substance, too, had some on her hands. Her mother seemed confused on which one to hand over at that Thanksgiving. Jeanette was left wondering if more than one salt bottle was tainted. Why did Jeanette get so very sick right after that discovery? At Christmas, they were gone. Jeanette says there was still an area in the cabinet carved out where the clearish, short, red-lidded containers were lined up, an empty space with nothing moved in their place, just some grains of salt and dots of pepper lingering on the bottom of the cabinet.
Jeannie gives so many stories about the salt shakers, both in emails and that recorded phone call conversation.
I remember Thanksgiving that Bruce was really bad.
We didn't want us talking because he thought we were talking about him and all of that.
Yeah, and Bruce doesn't like me to put salt and stuff. He likes to have it without salt. And the only thing that I can think of that might possibly have confused you there was, and I'm quite sure I probably was shaking and upset, and I probably just couldn't decide whether to put salt in something or not put salt in something.
I want to make sure we describe this in great detail. We've been calling these salt shakers, but they weren't. Jeanette takes like half a day just really explaining to me what was in that cabinet. Okay, they were containers, 10 to 12 of them. They were short, clearish, red-lidded containers. Jeannie said that she got them at the dollar store, kind of like the little McCormick seasoning spice containers, but there were no plastic snap-ons with the holes and no flip top. There was some kind of paper or label on them that prevented you from seeing what was on top of the salt. You could see that there was salt in them from the bottom of the small jars, though. Jeanette says when her mom opened the first one, it was immediately obvious that she didn't want to use that one, because that's the one with the brown-grayish balls. Jeannie said no, right away. It was so packed that they were nearly spilling out, and some had been crushed, like we've pointed out. Jeannie placed it on the counter with the lid tilted, maybe partially touching the counter. That's how short the containers were. Then Jeannie grabbed the second small container. She opened it, stared deeply into the contents, laser-focused, and then deemed it the good one. Jeanette says her mom thrusted the small jar at her, didn't hand it to her, but extended it to Jeanette in a forceful manner, like a punch. That was Jeanette's red flag that something was not right. Then Jeannie ran to attend to Bruce, and that's when Jeanette was trying to inspect the contents of both small jars. She said, quote, "I was over the sink rolling my finger around in there, the white substance, and some spilled out accidentally. I just threw some water on it so she wouldn't know I was checking it to see what the hell was in it. I just wanted to make sure." She was fast with Bruce. Adrenaline was running, so maybe time stood still, but it felt like 2 minutes. But it might have been much faster. That's all I got done before she was coming quickly back down the hall toward me in the kitchen. There was a straight line of vision from her bedroom doorway to the kitchen stove and sink area. Jeanette says she was so scared of getting busted, although she didn't know what she was getting busted for. It was just all so very weird. In an email from July 2008, Jeanette tries to get her mom talking. We'll start here with this thread. Jeanette writes, "I know that you've said that you are not mad, like you're not mad at Roy because it was an illness, etc. I'm not mad at you anymore, and I don't think you're evil. I think you have an illness called Munchausen by proxy. I wish I could help you, but you won't let me." Minutes later, Jeannie writes back, "I also certainly never tried to make Bruce any sicker than he was." Just that one line. Jeanette writes back, "I know that I'm not crazy, and what you are saying about that is so wrong. I'm trying to understand you. Why don't you tell me?" The first story about the salt. Number 1, you told me it was dirt. Number 2, you told me you didn't have any salt shakers like I described. Number 3, you told me it was pepper that had fallen in. Number 4, you told others that I had accused you of switching salt shakers on you at dinner and trying to poison me. Number 5, you told me that it was sea salt. How do I wrap my brain around so many different stories? Help me understand this. Her mom, Jeannie, replies, "In the bottom of my heart, I doubt that you are crazy," it's in quotes, "but I still don't know how you could accuse me of such horrible things." When Jeanette went back at Christmas, it was an excuse to get back into her mom's cabinets and take a look. And as we've heard, the containers were gone. In an email from 2011, a year after the FBI investigation ended and 5 years after the salt shaker encounter, Jeanette sends an email to Mark Nozak, the PI she hired to help her try and detangle the web of lies. Jeanette's sole goal was for Mark to tell her that she was indeed crazy, as her mother told everyone, and that there was nothing to see here. Instead, as we now know, the FBI got involved. In this email to Mark, dated November 5th, 2011, it starts, "Over the years, I have looked at hundreds of pictures of different metals, solids, etc., to see if anything looks similar to what I saw in my mom's salt. Nothing was ever quite right, either too shiny, not enough color variations, too smooth, whatever. Somehow, about a week ago, I saw some seeds, and I thought, wow, I never looked at seeds as an alternative to what could have been in her salt. So I loaded up a few pictures of seeds the other night, went through a few, didn't see anything, and then kind of forgot about it. Last night, I decided that since I had some time on my hands, I would look at a ton of seed pictures and determine if anything looked familiar. I found one that looked like it, surprisingly, finally. After I looked through a bunch more seed pictures, I decided to investigate this seed I found that looked identical to what I saw in her salt from a picture. I would have to see it in person to make sure it could grind to a powder on the edges of the salt container, like I saw in a few that had gotten crushed by the cap being screwed on. Well, the seed I saw and investigated was from a plant called Atropa belladonna. What I found out about the seed made me really wonder if I'd found the right thing. I got the chills last night. Atropa belladonna means beautiful lady, but apparently it's officially don't mess with a beautiful lady and is the second most poisonous plant in the world. It is what was used to kill Macbeth in Shakespeare and many other stories. It's supposedly untraceable and causes all of the symptoms that we were experiencing. Anyway, I attached a file with pictures and some things about it. Not 100% sure, but I think it might be. And that's the end of the email. Well, it's called deadly nightshade and the devil's berry or cherries. Some articles say the Italian and Greek meaning of Atropa belladonna translates into don't betray a beautiful lady. A couple of small berries can kill a child. No shit. Most articles say if your skin is intact, you may be okay touching the berries and leaves, but other articles say you're at risk of overdose with even a touch, delirium, and hallucinations. Same with seeds. There is some medicinal uses when processed correctly, but articles I found say not to touch the berries or leaves without gloves. Jeanette thought back to all the murder mystery books her mother was obsessed with when she was growing up. On the waiting list at the library, John Grisham, Stephen King, Ellery Queen, and Agatha Christie, queen of poison stories. Poisoning a person is easy. Going undetected is much harder and takes skill. Jeannie, her daughter says, always was consuming this type of information. Maybe ideas? Or was there truly nothing to see here? Testing for neurotoxins, it's hard. You have to know what you're testing for, Jeanette's neurologist told her, and it's likely why the FBI had a devil of a time pinpointing things down. Thank you for listening to The Toll. Please rate and share. It all makes a difference.